Hello, and welcome again to Happy Accidents. I'm your host, Torrential Driz. I'll be painting along with you today. Here in our third episode, we're finishing up this elf blacksmith from Reaper. I've got it all base coated here, and then last time we put some nice washes to darken it up and bring out some of those darker shadows, deeper shadows all around this guy. And now we're going to apply the third and final step, the highlighting process. You could keep going back and forth and washing and highlighting, but we're just, for the sake of education, we're just going to do this one last step. So to start with, I'm going to do her hair first. I got this ghost gray color and dead white. I'm going to use those in a mixture today. Shake them both up really good. Put them on the palette. Okay, I'm going to set the mini aside just for a second while I talk about the technique here. I use a normal, regular paper towel. I take my kind of beat up paintbrush I've been using for a while. I don't mind getting a little bit more beat up, having a few more fray strands. And I'm just going to get a little bit of paint out on the tip of the brush. And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to rub most of it off on the paper towel. This is just going to leave a few... Let me do it again one more time just so you can see that. It's going to leave a few little droplets of pigment on the brush, on the bristles of the brush, and then we're going to just use that to just gently cover the highest spots on her hair with a little bit of pigment. And that's just going to create just the right effect. So set this aside as well. Bring the mini back out. So I'm going to just start on her hair. I'm just going to... If all the grooves are kind of going this way, I'm going to turn my brush perpendicular and pull across the grooves, and that is going to cause most of the pigment to land on the highest edges. So I'm just going to go in here pretty aggressively, hit the tops of her hair here. So we started with just the same color as the base coat as our first layer of highlight. Now we're going to go back into that color and mix a little bit with the white. And get kind of a halfway in between. And we're going to do the same thing where we rub most of the paint off. With each successive brighter layer, you want less paint on the brush and you want to apply less pressure to the mini as you apply the paint. So really scrub most of the paint off here. And we'll go back in. We'll do the same thing again. Okay, that looks pretty good. And we're going to do one more layer with just the white, and we're going to be really gentle. Just caress the tips of the grooves here. Crests, I guess, would be the word. Okay, so far so good. Okay, now we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to come back in with the elf skin tone and also pale flesh. We're going to use a combination of those to do her skin. I want the brush to be really dry when we start this process, so I'm going to dry it pretty aggressively on the paper towel here. Same story, just start with the darker base coat color. This allows us to clean up those higher surfaces, get rid of some of the wash without changing the overall color too much. in that first layer. That's why we use the base tone as the middle tone kind of as that first highlight layer. I'm just going to start on her shoulder here. Okie doke. Prematurely washed the brush there. One more time, we're gonna take the elf skin tone and just a little bit of that pale flesh. We're kind of make a 50-50 on the brush, half and half. Wipe most of the paint off. Nice thing about dry brushing is the paint's so dry when it goes on that it dries pretty quickly, and you can go right to the next layer and start adding more color. Like I said before, we're gonna try to apply less pressure and less paint with each successive layer. She's got a lot of, if you can see that, a lot of wash down in her armpit kind of area here. So I'm trying to get in there and now, third and final step for this one. Get in there with just the pale flesh. One more thing to think about is try to just hit the spots that are going to be in direct sunlight when you're doing this final brightest step, because that is where the light is coming from. So kind of the high areas are the ones that are going to catch most of the bright colors. Okay, pretty good for the skin tone. Wash brush again. Next, we're going to do the dark brown on her gloves and her apron. So I'm going to combine some dark flesh tone, which we use as the base color, with a little bit of this leather brown. And we'll just start with her apron here. Once again, this first layer is just to clean up any extra dark spots. And if you want it to be more dirty looking, you could skip this step actually. And in fact, I think on the tree trunk, I might leave it a little dirtier looking, so I'll just go straight into that brighter highlight. I do that. Okay, go right back into some mixture here. A little bit of the leather, a little bit of the dark flesh tone. A little more leather. That dark flesh tone's really dark. Same thing. You can already see how that's changed the color of the wood pretty considerably in her leather. I'll probably only put this layer on the wood so the leather is a little more differentiated, but now I'm going to go back in, just do the leather brown on her apron and stuff. If you're not sure if you got too much paint on there, you can go ahead and paint your thumb and like you can see, there's not really show up on the brush, but there's a lot of brown coming off on my thumb. So go back to the paper towel, scrub it off a little bit more. That's better. Kind of shape the brush into a flattened kind of spade shape. And I'll wipe most of the paint off onto the palette. Don't mind if there's a little more than our normal dry brush amount. We're gonna use just the flat edge. She's got like her little straps on her apron here. I'm gonna try and make those more brown because I've got quite a bit of flesh colored paint on there. Let's do the grass color now. So I'm just going to take that same sick green we used before and this a little bit brighter goblin green. We're going to mix those up. I'm going to go right into a mixture of these two because I want the grass to look a little bit on the dirty side as well. Beginning.
Sounds good.
Okay, now we're going to go back into that goblin green, really bright green color. Also going to do the same for her kind of back of her skirt here. I forgot to do the in-between layer. You kind of could see there maybe what happens when you go from too dark a color straight into too light. It creates this like jarring contrast. You need to build up the layers sequentially. Otherwise it kind of looks chalky or drawn on or something. Just kind of catching her little edges of her skirt down here with a little bit more highlight. It's looking pretty good, I think. Oh yeah, I'm going to use that goblin green. Rub most of the paint off, and I'm just going to try to catch these little vines again that are growing here along the trunk. All right, let's do one more color. We're going to use the silver, just plain old silver. And then we're just going to hit this, just hit the top of the hammer here. Make it shine. Catch the front of the anvil. I don't know if you can see this, but there's some kind of interesting little carvings on the anvil structure here. And just by doing this dry brush, hopefully we'll bring that out a little bit more. just one more little nitpicky thing I want to do. Her ears are poking up out of her hair, and I want to paint those. So I'm going to grab a finer point brush here. And I'm not even going to wet the brush on this guy. I'm just going to go straight in. A little bit of that mixture of elf flesh tone and pale flesh. Because the lower layers there are kind of a grayish or whitish color, this will show up all right. Just like that. Okie doke. There we have it. That's the Elf Blacksmith complete. Can I get a zoom in on this a little bit while I spin it around? Thank you. Yeah. So, just show off what we did here. We got all this nice little detail all along the trunk, the ground. Her hair looks pretty good. Yeah. Like, it would take me, this is maybe slightly ribald, but it would take me a lot of work to get this like gradient we got in her bosom area in the or along her shoulders and stuff. That would take a lot of work to do that the old-fashioned way, but because we use this wash and then highlight method, it comes out really easily. Actually, it works pretty good. Same is true for all these grooves along her hair and stuff. Built up that gradient nicely. Yeah. So anyway, thanks again for watching. This has been Happy Accidents. I'm your host, Torrential Driz. Join us again next time.